All right, guys, we are back. Thank you for hanging with me. I've had a concussion for the last few weeks, and I've been promising all kinds of stuff with regards to my online courses, but I think I've finally kind of gotten the crux of what I want it to be. So here's like a long form version of it, and hopefully I can cut this up and make it more like digestible for like marketing purposes. So, anyways, um, I finally settled on a name for my school group, uh, and I want to call it Sandbox BJJ. So, I think sandbox is like this perfect metaphor that encapsulates everything that I want to describe in terms of ecological jujitsu and constraints led approach and whatnot. And I think a lot of people get caught up in the science and the terms and the definitions, and they talk circles around these things, and it's really unsatisfying to all kinds of people who just think, oh, this is just situational sparring with constraints or whatever. Oh, this has been done before. I'm like, yeah, it has been done before, but nobody's put together a program that solely focuses on this type of thing. And I think it's honestly just a fundamental theory of learning, and it connects so deeply to what I believe and what I've known to be true just throughout my life, just what I've done professionally and what I've done in jiu-jitsu. It all connects to this fundamental thing of how do we create a sandbox around something that we can just hammer on and work on, and not really care about whether it's perfect or not, because we can always just tear it down and restart. So let's play around in a sandbox to work on something. How This is how we fuck around and find out. This was kind of a working book title that I was thinking about like a year ago. Maybe I'll still do the book or whatever. Um, but this is something that I've thought about a lot ever since I came across Greg Souders about coming up on 2 years ago. This ecological approach is like, at first, people like how people describe it is like, the impression that people get is like, oh, it's this directionless thing that you you just let people do whatever, and it's like, yeah, kind of, but the coach is actually very instrumental in guiding the process of like putting up a sandbox and defining a sandbox of what we're working on, defining sides, defining, hey, this is the area that we're looking at, and the thing is made of sand. Like, it's totally a play type of thing. We're not, yes, we're trying to win, and there's going to be winners and losers, but we can always undo the thing, just kind of wipe the slate clean after every rep and restart. And the sandbox kind of also defines, or implies like physical and psychological safety, in that it's okay to lose. Like, it's okay to mess up here in practice, and that this is something that we don't get. Like, we want to, in traditional coaching, or tradition, at least for jiu-jitsu, there's like one right way that we want to do it, and you drill it until it's perfect on a non-resisting partner, and you try to do it, you try to hit move of the day like kind of in an open roll, and you rarely hit it right. You hit it maybe once in like a random live roll. So let's just invert the kind of the amount that we're the amount of time that we're spending on drilling the perfect technique with, let's just do live until we run into problems. And then probably most people are going to run into the similar type of problem. And then we can kind of like define more granularly, okay, you want to do the elbow thing here, you want to probably do this thing you want it with your leg here, and try that out. And then we don't need to drill it like 100 times or whatever. We're it's more like patchwork. We're kind of patching up the sandcastle on the sides where it needs it, right? Like think about as you build up a sandcastle, you kind of, it might be lopsided or whatever, and you add a little bit of sand here, a little bit of sand there, and we're just kind of building it up more organically or whatever, rather than trying to set like this is the perfect design that everyone needs to do, this high level technique. Even white belts need to master what is mastery, this perfect technique, this high level Gordon Ryan, John Danaher level technique. It's like, no, white belts, you just kind of need to be a little bit better than what you were doing previously, right? You just need to, I hate to throw in stripes here, but like if you're a one stripe white belt, you just need to do it like a two stripe white belt, or a blue belt. Like the belt system is flawed inherently. All models are wrong. Some are useful. The belt system, I think, is a good like kind of vibe indicator of just like, these are arbitrary checkpoints or waymarks or whatever, waypoints, in it's giving you a direction of where to go. So we can define the sandbox and we can say, okay, that's a pretty good pretty good for white belt sandcastle. Here's maybe what a blue belt level sandcastle looks like, and here's what a purple belt, brown belt, black belt, whatever. So it's just getting a little bit better where you're at. It's teaching to where the student is at, rather than setting up some kind of arbitrary, this is what the masters have passed down in knowledge, and we need to do it absolutely correctly until we even think about trying to use it, right? Like, yes, there is probably the best practices or whatever, but you can't just get to, like, there's a concept in software development called skateboard engineering. Like, you don't go directly to, since F1 is in Vegas this weekend, you don't build a F1 car directly, right? You don't jump to that. You first build a skateboard. It has wheels, it has a board, you're able to ride on it, right? And then as you need more complexity, you add complexity. You add a steering wheel, you add a seat, you now have like a go-kart or whatever. You add a motor, like you build up the complexity over time. You don't just jump into the most complex thing because you may not need it right now, right? Like this is a agile development type of thing. So if we apply this to learning and to whatever, jujitsu, math, whatever, this is like a fundamental theory of learning that I'm like totally considering spending the rest of my life like preaching here. Is that in math, you don't start off with calculus, you start off with addition. 1 + 1 = 2, or 3, depending who you talk to or whatever, right? But you you build on these fundamentals. You actually can use these fundamentals. You don't like theoretically know that this is. You don't just absorb it and move on. You have to actually use it and apply it. And I'm very passionate about this because I've obsessed over like that. Even in my life, I'm not the perfect applicator. I'm far from the perfect applicator. I've known what to do in terms of strength and conditioning and nutrition for years. I've read way more articles about strength training and nutrition that I've actually applied. That this is a personal failing of mine. But if we can build a sandbox, build a skateboard, build a thing around what I'm struggling with or what you're struggling with, we can iterate on it. We can get reps, live reps against the thing, against resistance, and improve on it over time, bit by bit. And I think this is like trying to eliminate an analysis paralysis by analysis, however you want to say it. Where you are obsessed with this idealized, like, I'm just speaking from my experience, which I'm sure many people have this. They have this idealized routine of, oh, this is what I want the ideal day to look like. But who has ideal days, right? There's actually a programming term, or like a software or agile development thing called trying to track these things, called ideal development days. But who the fuck has ideal development days, right? Like nobody is just trying to understand put a time frame on how quickly we can do something, right? So the concept of ideal day, we should just throw it out, right? What is your realistic day right now, and what is the smallest possible change that we can make to it to make it incrementally better? People say 1% better every day. Well, what is that 1%? What is that thing that we can change to make yourself better every single day? And that's, for me, I'm going to define it as the sandbox. What is the sandbox that we are working on? And if it's a sandbox, it's okay if we mess up. It's fine. Like we don't have to do sweeping changes to everything, to your jiu-jitsu game, to your lifestyle, whatever. We're just working on the sandbox. We're just defining the sides to the sandbox. We're defining what we're playing with right now, what we're trying to change. And then once we get that sandbox kind of more or less figured out, we can move on to the next one, right? So I know I'm just kind of like rambling here because this has been built up after I've been feeling shitty for the last few weeks in terms of my concussion, and now I'm like just really excited to get back after making the stuff and working on the stuff. So it's no different than, like, if people are gonna say, oh, I do this all right, great, perfect, keep doing it. But for a lot of people, like all this ecological stuff, terminology is just too dense. People don't want to read the books. People don't want to like consume hours upon hours of podcasts and whatnot to try to get through the terminology. It's just like, all right, I just want to define, hey, what's the sandbox that we're working on, and then let's work on that. That's it. Like it's okay to screw up here. Like we just want to play around with something and try to improve upon it however we can, even if it's less than ideal, right? We just want to collect data. That's another thing that people talk about. Actually, Benjamin Equilibrium on Instagram, shout out Ben. He posts all the time about motion data and how if you just do these weird movements, you can better feel what your body is doing and how your body reacts to different things. So he's captured this kind of idea in his own way in terms of just general movement, is that you want to for him it's just generalized movement. For me, it's more jiu-jitsu movement and kind of like defining or even programming. Like where this came from is that in programming, software development, we have what's called a sandbox environment where we try to we test our code against these things, we write new code or change parts of code. We the fancy words deployment. We put it in this sandbox environment and we test it, and we make sure that this code doesn't break, that this new change works how we're expecting it to. Or if it doesn't, it's fine because it's not the customer actually seeing it. We're just testing it out for ourselves, and we get to experiment. We get to play around with it and tear it down and build it back up, tear it down again, build it back up, iterate on it over and over again until we get something that works. And this is learning by doing. This is literally the college I went to, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Their term or their motto is learn by doing, and for whatever reason, like the stars aligned such that like I went there. That like I had no idea that that motto would be so important in my life. Honestly, if I went to Berkeley or got into Berkeley, I would have had a completely different life trajectory. And at the time when I was 18, kind of side tangent onto whatever colleges and whatnot, is like, oh, this is so prestigious or whatever, and that this actually will tie into jiu-jitsu. Oh, I wanted to get into the best named schools or whatever. It's like you get into the school that is a good fit, and the college admission staff tries to somehow, whatever they do, whatever, I don't know, depending on who you ask, if they do it fairly or not. But the brand of the school doesn't matter so much as it is a good fit for you, and does it teach the things that you need to know in order to be successful? Does it allow you to iterate on, like, learn things and learn by doing them, right? So Cal Poly was known for that, like as a known it was a good value school because it was in the CSU system versus the UC system, which is much more, since it is more prestigious, the UC system was more expensive. I think it is probably still that way. But this ties into jiu-jitsu because people want to learn from the best brands, right? And they're like, oh, I want to learn John Danaher's method of coaching or his techniques or whatever, or the Gordon Ryan or the whatever. And it's like, okay, are you going to uproot your life and go to Austin just to train with him? Unlikely, right? Like you probably have family, friends, whoever, wherever you're at, is unlikely unless you're like super serious about being dirt broke and going and living in Austin, which it is getting to be more expensive because this is a common thing that people are doing. Uprooting your life and moving to a place where you have access to the best coaching, right? The best coaching is where you're at. If you can iterate and experience the environment, you have access to like the real knowledge, the real truth or whatever. Yes, does it help to have high level training partners? Oh, fuck yeah. Like I have, like in a class I recently taught, we had 6 black belts on the mat, which is amazing. 6 years ago, we barely had 6 people. Like we barely had 6 white belts on the mat or 6 blue belts at 6 a.m. But at this recent class, like we had 6 black belts, which is an immense amount of knowledge and an incredible like experience to have. But if you don't have that, don't worry, you can develop it. Like six years ago, the people who were around there, we were all white and blue belts with one coach who was a brown belt at the time, and we built up from there, right? It's going to take time. But if you can, again, like This is a consistent application. It's not consistent theorizing. I've been consistently theorizing on the best strength training methods or nutrition methods, and look, I'm as out of shape as I ever been. But, you know, like that's me consistently theorizing, consistently applying jujitsu. I would say I'm pretty good. I don't know, just me. In I maybe through a stroke of luck or stroke of whatever, kind of in a culmination event in 2022, I made it to the round of 16 ADCC trials. For those of you who are new here, and lost to Elder Cruz by 3 points. Like that's pretty close to being at the highest level, right? Like for being a professional software developer, jiu-jitsu is something that I just do at 6 a.m. Monday through Friday, and sometimes on the weekends. I would say that's pretty good. Like that amount of like return for the hobbyist level amount of training that I did to get there. So yeah, where's this? What's like the entire point of this? Is that I think I can explain all this ecological stuff. I super believe in it. I'll continue to learn the science and all those different terms, but I want to distill it down to sandbox jiu-jitsu, or just even sandbox life. What is the sandbox? What is the defined boundary conditions? What is the not even boundary? What is the boundaries? What is the box that we're trying to work on? What is the thing that we're trying to work on? What are the edges of it that we don't go outside of? Just to circle us back to reset. Okay, reset in the middle. All right, this is the thing that we're working on. We're just working on this box in here, right? We're just working on this. What is the sand? What is the thing that we're working on? So if it's programming, it's what is this code that we're working on? What is the cycle that we can improve upon? What is the way we deploy this and test it out and determine if it's good or not? How do we tear it down? How do we set it back up again? This is like kind of my life's work, my life's philosophy. And I hope to communicate it better and come out with more and better content for you guys, and to kind of hopefully coach some of you guys through this type of stuff, because I'm very passionate about this. This is I've seen this play out in my life, and I want to help kind of shortcut through some of the bullshit for you guys in your lives with whatever you're working on. Probably jiu-jitsu, but if there's something else I can help set up a sandbox for you, please let me know. So thanks for tuning in. Share, like, subscribe wherever this is posted. It'll help me out. Look out for my school group that I'm going to be relaunching with as like a monthly subscription model. If you're in there already, you're good. Like that'll be free to you, but for as a thank you for being an early subscriber. But if you're coming in new, I'm gonna be relaunching it for $20 a month, and there's gonna be a lot of like interactive stuff in there with helping define sandboxes for you, that personal sandboxes that you want to work on. And I'll have a lot of kind of jiu-jitsu sandboxes, games, sandboxes, whatever we want to call it inside, that you can work on for specific things. So like IBJJF points, ADCC points, just submission only. We'll have all kinds of video content. There's a bunch in there already. I just need to restructure a little bit. Watch out for announcements around that. And thank you for listening. I really appreciate your time. Thank you.